Every single sneer, every veiled threat, every underhanded legal maneuver. I logged it all in a spiral notebook while forcing a grin and murmuring, "Yes, ma'am." For 18 straight months, Victoria Langford tormented my family, raised our 100-year-old barn to splinters, and slapped us with 6 laughable lawsuits designed to chase us off land we've held since 1924. This Silicon Valley transplant honestly believed she could strong-arm a weathered rancher into dumping prime acreage dirt, cheap so her development firm could slap up luxury condos along our riverfront. What Victoria, the self-crowned queen of the Silver Ridge Homeowners Association, never grasped was that my great-grandfather didn't just carve out Hawthorne Ranch. He also engineered the dam that keeps her $2 million glass palace from overlooking a glorified mud puddle. Federal water control contracts signed in 1943. Let me tell you, carry weight heavier than any county ordinance, any HOA covenant, any small-town judge's gavel. And when someone spends a year and a half committing federal felonies just to steal your birthright, well, that's the moment you quit playing nice and start schooling a city slicker on what happens when you underestimate the wrong cowboy. Drop a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from, because you're about to witness old-school frontier justice collide with modern-day entitlement in a showdown sweeter than fresh peach cobbler on the 4th of July. Picture Crestwood Valley, Montana, population 832, cradled by the glassy embrace of Crystal Lake. Mornings here greet you with mist curling off water so pure you can count the pebbles 20 feet down, the air thick with pine sap and the low, haunting call of loons slicing through silence like a slow violin note. My bloodline has anchored this valley since 1924, when Grandpa Elias Hawthorne staked his claim with nothing but grit, a mule, and hands that could shape timber into legend. That barn, Victoria demolished. Elias planed every beam himself, hoisted it skyward with neighbors who knew a man builds to outlast his own heartbeat. But Crystal Lake isn't some gift from Mother Nature. No, sir. Back in '43, Elias partnered with the feds to raise a dam that turned a sluggish creek into a mirror-bright jewel. 3 generations of Hawthorne men have kept those valves singing in perfect rhythm. I'm Jack, 52, county hydraulic engineer by trade, freshly divorced. My 16-year-old daughter Lily spends summers with me. That barn was her concert hall. The acoustics inside could make her violin weep Bach across the rafters like the angels themselves were listening. Enter Victoria Langford, 45, ex-tech exec who dropped $2.3 million cash on the priciest lakefront spread 18 months ago. She speaks in bullet points and treats locals like quaint speed bumps on her road to curated perfection. Her husband Derek, a corporate attorney who weaponizes legalese the way other men swing hammers. Together they've been stacking the Silver Ridge HOA board with fellow transplants hungry for status. Trouble announced itself the day Victoria declared, "My century-old barn an eyesore that murdered her sightlines. The scent of sun-warmed hay and honest motor oil that raised me suddenly offended her refined nostrils." She dug up the fact that no formal permit existed in 1924. Permits weren't even a twinkle in bureaucracy's eye back then, and swung that technicality like a wrecking ball. The HOA vote came down 6-1 to demolish. I was the lone holdout, the only original resident left on the board. Lily's violin had become our quiet rebellion. Every evening her music drifted across the valley, a stubborn reminder of roots too deep to bulldoze. The texture of those heirloom tool handles, worn smooth by Elias, my grandfather, my own palms, told stories of sweat and pride money can't buy. The taste of dust and despair coated my tongue the morning the crew rolled in, engines growling like hungry wolves. But the real gut punch wasn't the aesthetics. No. I started seeing the pattern. Every legacy family in Crestwood Valley was catching heat. The Nguyen's cited for their backyard vegetable rows. The Martinez clan fined for truck repairs in their own driveway. The Patels suddenly running an illegal farm stand. Victoria's private Facebook group, Silver Ridge Revitalization, wasn't about beautification. It was a hit list. Her posts dripped with developer greed. Once we clear these rustic relics, property values will skyrocket. The financial sting was instant. 40 grand in equipment and vintage iron crushed under that rubble. Including Grandpa's restored '52 Chevy pickup, Lily dreamed of cruising to prom, but the soul wound cut deeper. Watching timbers my great-grandfather notched by lantern light collapse felt like watching our family tree splinter. Lily cried that night, not just for the barn, but for the erasure. Dad, they're trying to delete us, she whispered, and damn if the kid wasn't right. This wasn't about lawn height. This was cultural cleansing. Newcomers pretending they discovered paradise so they could sell it back to each other at triple markup. That's when I realized I wasn't just defending a building. I was defending the heartbeat of Crestwood Valley. And I held cards Victoria couldn't dream of. Cards inked in federal ink 80 years before she ever sipped a latte. The real fight was just saddling up. Victoria wasted no time gloating. Within a week, she slapped me with noise complaints for 6 a.m. chores, claiming ranch life violated her brand-new quiet hours from 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. A woman who'd never heard a rooster crow suddenly fancied herself an expert on rural decibels. Derek mailed a certified letter on heavy cream stock that reeked of law firm arrogance. $500 a day for disturbing the peace. But here's where Victoria tipped her hand. She documented every grievance on social media, posting grainy photos of my weathered equipment with captions about civilizing the frontier. Her white Tesla would ghost past my fence line at twilight, phone glued to the window like she was on safari. That's when I decided to play detective myself. 3 nights at the county courthouse, eyes stinging under flickering fluorescence, sifting microfilm until the scent of old paper became my cologne. The courthouse coffee tasted like burnt regret, but I traced Victoria's deed back to the Hendricks place. Old Tom Hendricks never wanted to sell. Records showed his taxes tripled overnight. Then a fire sale to a shell company. Then a flip to Victoria below market. Buried deeper in my own family file was a clause granting perpetual agricultural easement, predating the HOA by 7 decades. Agricultural rights run with the land like blood in veins. No board vote can evict them. One hard truth: when you inherit dirt, sometimes you inherit power worth more than the dirt itself. I started rounding up the old guard. Mrs. Ellis, retired schoolmarm, kept HOA minutes tighter than a banker's ledger. Carlos Mendoza, hardware store owner, had receipts for every selective citation. The mini twist hit when Victoria reported my cattle for lake pollution to the state DP. Irony so thick you could spread it on toast, attacking the very bloodline that kept her drinking water crystal. But I'm an engineer. I live for flow rates and silt counts. Decades of water logs proved my herd. Improved downstream clarity. More importantly, late-night hydrographs revealed the lake existed entirely because of a dam Elias helped design. The rhythmic thump of pumps wasn't background noise. It was the valley's pulse. Lily became my research deputy, her laptop glowing like a campfire as she cross-referenced Victoria's posts with complaint timestamps. Dad, she brags about lakefront aura, the same day she sicked DP on us. The kid was Sherlock in cowboy boots. I built a war binder, every email, every find, every veiled threat timestamped and tabbed. The diner became our Alamo. Ranchers hunched over bottomless coffee that tasted like resolve and spite. Mrs. Ellis revealed Derek had been cozying up to the tax assessor. Translation: jack assessments until we bleed cash. The scent of diesel and corruption hung heavier than grill smoke. But the real bombshell dropped when I exhumed the original federal water rights folio, yellowed pages that smelled of ink and Roosevelt-era optimism. Elias hadn't just maintained the dam. He'd secured operational sovereignty in perpetuity. Control the water, control the valley. Victoria was swinging at the foundation while perched on the roof. If Victoria thought noise tickets were slick, her next play was straight-up economic warfare. My property tax leaped from $1,200 to $8,400 a year, a 7-fold gut punch that reeked of backroom handshakes. Only my spread and 2 other ranches got the honor. Simultaneously, the HOA demanded $5,000 architectural reviews for any repair. Fix a fence post. Cough up 5 large. Derek's firm. Naturally, the sole approved consultant. But Victoria's mind games chilled me deeper. She'd park her Tesla at my driveway's mouth during sunrise coffee, filming through tinted glass like I was a zoo exhibit. The ceramic mug in my hand turned bitter with the knowledge I was prey on my own porch. That's when my engineering brain flipped into countermeasure mode. I mapped lake inflows with county-grade precision, nights in the workshop surrounded by contour plots and velocity curves. The hum of my laptop fan syncing with the dam's distant heartbeat. Crystal Lake wasn't just maintained, it was artificial. entirely dependent on valves my family alone held keys to. I mailed off for National Archives originals. Documents that arrived smelling of history and authority, federal seals gleaming. Under my desk lamp, the clause that stopped my heart. Hawthorne descendants retain exclusive flow authority. Close the gates and the lake drops to mud in 48 hours. Every lakeside mansion, every resort blueprint, every inflated appraisal evaporates. Lily grasped it first. Dad, you don't just fix the dam. You decide if the lake lives. The girl was right. Elias had forged an 80-year insurance policy against exactly this brand of predator. Lily's digital sleuthing uncovered Derek's conflict. His firm pocketed $50,000 in consulting from Peak Horizon Development the same week my taxes spiked. Payment Monday. Reassessment Wednesday. Peak Horizon held options on every distressed ranch in the valley. The scheme crystallized, harassed until broke. Buy low, flip high. But the fatal flaw? Their entire empire floated on water I could drain with a wrench. The morning air carried pine and the metallic tang of coming reckoning. I ran. Water quality panels across the basin. Results that would make Victoria choke on her almond milk latte. My grazing actually filtered runoff, but her boutique septic, installed by the lowest bidder, leached straight into her precious view. The hypocrisy tasted like cold justice. I cataloged every HOA board member's violation, GPS pins, time-lapse photos, a dossier thick enough to prop a door. Legal nugget. Environmental plaintiffs need spotless records. One sentence takeaway. Accuse others of pollution while your own waste swims in the lake and watch credibility drown. The mini twists surfaced in dam blueprints. Elias embedded federal safeguards classifying the system critical infrastructure. Interference wasn't civil. It was a decade in federal prison. Lily curated a social media counteroffensive, vintage photos of Elias pouring concrete, captions about stewardship predating Instagram. Shares exploded across rural feeds. Genuine conservationists descended, marveling at practices greener than any LEED certificate. Victoria's cleanup day photo op imploded when reporters asked why the lake's guardian was public enemy number one. Victoria went nuclear, sued me for ecological sabotage, claiming my cattle threatened the watershed. The filing read like eco-fantasy. Channel 9 ate it up, city reporter wet behind the ears. Then came lake cleanup spectacular. Matching teal shirts, staged trash near my fence, cameras rolling. I countered with independent lab reports. My water pristine, hers tainted. The follow-up news segment shifted tone faster than a Montana cold front. But the power swing crystallized the night I realized. Every lakeside deed depended on infrastructure my bloodline commanded. Victoria had been kicking the legs of the chair she sat on. Desperation oozed from her pores. Equipment sabotage started. Hydraulic lines sliced. Gates unlatched. Cattle loose on the county road. The dawn smelled of diesel and malice. Lawsuits rained weekly. Rooster noise. Mailbox angle. Compost odor. Paper cuts designed to bleed me dry. Victoria spread rumors I was unhinged. Might flood the valley out of spite. Businesses shunned us. Feed store on hold. Hardware delayed. Even the diner gave Lily side-eye. The taste of isolation was ash. I wired my perimeter with county-grade sensors. Night vision caught Derek prowling at 2 a.m. Flashlight on valve boxes. The footage was Christmas in July. Lily traced bribe money from Peak Horizon to the saboteurs. Venmo screenshots. Bragging posts. Amateur hour. But Victoria crossed the Rubicon when she blocked the dam access road with her Tesla, live streaming her protection of community assets. Federal crime on camera. My monitors pinged. County water brass took notice. The scent of FBI coffee was in the air. Community flipped. Ranchers realized coordinated assault, not random gripes. The diner buzzed with unity. Mrs. Ellis's minutes became conspiracy exhibits. Victoria's final Hail Mary arrived Tuesday sunrise. Briefcase of cash. $500,000 crisp. Think of Lily's future. Perfume and panic. My security rolled. When I refused, her mask shattered. I'll erase your name from this valley. She hissed. 24 hours later, a restraining order, claiming terroristic dam threats. The hearing was theater. Victoria wept crocodile tears. But federal mandate trumps local drama. Judge tossed it. Derek's conflict triggered bar investigation. Money laundering probe snowballed. Victoria's voice became her own noose. The annual Crestwood Valley Town Hall packed the high school gym tighter than branding day. Ranchers shoulder to shoulder with reporters, federal agents blending into bleachers. Air crackled like July heat lightning. Victoria strutted in late, designer armor. Derek flanked by silk-suited muscle. Her PowerPoint screamed danger. Slides of my ranch doctored grim. Testimonials from peak horizon plants. The gym smelled of fear and photocopied lies. She painted me lunatic, my stewardship obsolete. Tears on cue. Then I took the mic. Thanked the valley for 80 years of trust. Projected Elias in 43, sleeves rolled. Pouring the dam that birthed every lakeside fortune. My great-grandfather built safeguards against exactly this moment, I said, calm as lake glass. FBI agent Torres rose from the back, badge flashing. Ladies and gentlemen, we have evidence of racketeering, bribery, conspiracy to defraud. The gym detonated. Peak horizon exposed. Derek's firm complicit. Victoria unraveled live. I'm the victim. These hillbillies block progress. Her mask gone. Racism raw. Cameras devoured every second. Water Chief Ramirez confirmed Hawthorne authority ironclad. The ovation shook rafters. Deputies escorted Victoria and Derek out as warrants slapped cuffs. Peak Horizon imploded on live TV. Investors bailed. Lily Live tweeted justice. Mrs. Ellis won county commissioner on anti-corruption tide. 6 months later, the ranch kitchen smells of coffee, and tomorrow, Victoria and Derek face federal trial in Billings. Their mansion auctioned. Restitution seeded the Hawthorne Water Legacy Fund, teaching ranch families nationwide to wield federal law like a branding iron. Lily's scholarship sends Valley kids to study sustainable engineering. The rebuilt barn gleams stronger. Elias's beams married to modern trusses. Lily's violin sings hope across water federally protected as a model watershed. I married Agent Torres. Our wedding the barn's first dance. Feds and ranchers two-stepping under string lights. Ecotourism thrives on authenticity, not plastic resorts. Heritage Days draw 15,000 to learn water wisdom and frontier grit. Closure tastes like sunrise over Crystal Lake. Lily and I on the dock. Her bow drawing melody from strings. Great-grandfather's safeguards held. Justice served cold and sweet. So tell me, was draining the lake to expose corruption righteous? Or did righteous fury risk becoming the tyranny we fought? Where's the line between defending legacy and wielding power like the bullies we buried? Because real equity sometimes demands you turn the valve and let the mud reveal the truth.